Hey guys, welcome back. BDCKR here, and we're back with our weekly recap of all things Injustice. This is April 6, 2023. The current challenge is Arkham Knight Catwoman, as we predicted. 1 week repeat. Required characters are Green Lantern, Nightwing, and Joker, available at the cheapest level as Bronze, and Silver. Great entry point for any new players. Her passive is Cat and Mouse. Catwoman's damage over time attacks cannot be rinsed by tagging out. The damage over time becomes more powerful with each Arkham Knight character on her team. She has 1300 attack and 1000 health. She was last available June the 9th, 2022. So she's got really good upper middle class kind of stats, the way we like it, with more of it in her attack. And she is probably the single best damage over time specialist because of the inability to rinse. Additionally, she can enhance her damage over time with her teammates. So that means her obvious teammates would be Arkham Knight Universe characters, but not Arkham or Arkham Origins because they don't boost her passive. That would make her, that ridiculous. You can see it in the gameplay in the background right now. Her ability, when she does a couple of damage over times on a character, their health just bleeds away. The amount of damage over time she does is tied to the minigame that determines how much damage she will do on her specials. Bleeding damage stacks, so that when you're bleeding an opponent, that 20% boosted affects the amount of damage over time that they're taking too. So aside from the obvious Tantu Totem and Master's Death Cart loadout, the obvious third gear, which we're using on her right now, is Quake Engine, which not only increases damage over time by 50% on a character who doesn't have a full bar of power, it also restarts on whoever happens to be in. And I mean, if you don't have Quick Engine, alternative could be any other gear that increases power generation to give her more specials, or any damage over time, because her passive of non-rinsable damage over time applies to any damage over time, even from gear, not just her own. So Heart of Darkness is a great third gear because it gives both power generation and extra damage over time. You'll see the reason why we have to do a combo when we tag in is because if we didn't, Quake Engine doesn't boost her power generation. We need to do at least one attack to get the second bar of power. So a little bit of a limitation, but it makes up for it so much in the damage output. One really interesting thing about Arkham Knight Catwoman is that her special 2 is reduced a little bit for having the bleed effect. So instead of having 2 times her attack stat as the special 2 damage, which you get from other cards that don't have a secondary effect, you get 1.5 times damage only. But it's still much better than the 1 multiple of her damage that you would have expected because of other characters that have a secondary effect on their special 2. So for example, Arkham Killer Croc, Regime Superman, because his attack is unblockable. I think Arkham Killer Croc because he's got a damage over time effect on his special 2. So the main danger you're facing when you're running this kind of team is when you're fighting a Blackest Night Flash team or against Injustice 2 Aquaman. So Injustice 2 Aquaman, he'll give you back your damage over time doubled. But, you know, these kind of dangers are not specific to Arkham Knight Catwoman, but any character that relies on damage over time, it just happens to be worse because she does so much of it. And Injustice 2 Aquaman, not that big a deal. He isn't really dangerous unless you let him do his special 1. And you can usually get around that. You can avoid having that happen. The real danger is Blackest Night Flash teams, because with Blackest Night Hawkgirl, you get a revive. It makes it so much more likely that you're going to trigger damage over time that your last hit is not going to be in midair when the new opponent is tagging in. It's going to be on that opponent that you're facing. And so here's the problem with Blackest Night Flash's passive, which is Black Flash, is the part that says all Blackest Night teammates gain health and power from enemy damage over times. So I think I might even have a sample of this in the footage that you're going to watch. You just have to be very careful. Normally, you tag her in first against another team, do a special 2. You see that demonstrated in all the non-Blackest Night teams. And when you're facing the danger team, you wait to tag her in for the first time only when you feel like she'll do enough damage to knock out the person in front of you. because if they're not knocked out, they will be healing and generating power like crazy. And on the second tag in, it's even worse. You need to not do a special immediately because Master's Death card, the synergy with her special, will trigger multiple damage over time effects. And of course, that's something you normally want against any other team except for the Blackest Night Flash team. The other adjustment you need to make against a special opponent would be new 52 Shazam in the first slot. You can tag her in, just don't do a special 2 immediately because it often does enough damage to trigger Shazam's passive. Then he gets to come back invulnerable for a while. So that's the part of his Shazam passive where when he returns, he's got knockout immunity for 21 seconds. And he tags out when his health hits less than 25%. So that's the problem, is that a lot of times her special 2 will bring him down to that level. So the strategy when you're facing new 52 Shazam, do a special 1, then do another special 1, and in this case you're actually even hoping that he'll block it, then tag in a teammate. In our case it'll be Arkham Knight. This is usually enough to get him to tag out before he has lost enough health to bring it down to less than 25%. His passive isn't triggered because the key is he only has knockout immunity when he returns. So if he's not returning, when you bring him down to 25% and he's not returning, what you're doing with his damage over time is, while he's off the screen, Catwoman's passive means he's bleeding away his health. If you're really lucky, when he tags back in, either there's no one else that will allow for his passive to trigger, because if he can't tag out to switch off with somebody else, he can't return to get that immunity. Or if he's down to only 1 health, then the next hit knocks him out instead of forcing him to tag out on the less than 25%. A lot of this is like Raven. If you bleed her down to a level so that when she's tagging in, her health is low enough that you can knock her out with 1 hit, it won't trigger her passive. So this is the 150th week, almost 3 years now, of a repeating pattern that first appeared in May 2020 for our challenge characters. We've had 3 complete runs of a 43-week cycle, plus 21 weeks now in the 4th cycle. And if the pattern holds, next week is going to be Blackest Night Martian Manhunter. And we still have 23 challenge characters missing. This week's multiplayer reward is Gingo Fruit, which becomes Gingold Soda. Maxed out has 30% damage reduction from basic attacks. Blocking stops 22% more damage, 35% damage reduction from critical attacks, and when evolved, there's a 20% chance to take no damage from basic attacks. Last available September the 1st, 2022. That's 118 weeks in a row of a consistent pattern. So that's 3 cycles of a 31 reward sequence, 25 now in the 4th cycle, so the 4th cycle is almost done. And unlike the challenge cycle, nothing is missing for multiplayer rewards. If the pattern holds, next week should be Necron's Scythe, which starts out as Black Power Battery. And this is a great piece of defensive equipment. When you use it on the right character with the right combination of gears, you can avoid taking any basic damage at all. And we've demonstrated that. That's actually our main video on our channel, like our, I don't even know what you call it, our YouTube channel page. And so on Regime Nightwing, the silver one, Gingold Soda reduces basic damage by 30%, Killer Croc Companion Gear reduces basic damage by 20%, and his passive reduces basic damage in half, so he takes 0 basic damage. And in fact, on that loadout in that video, the evolved ability of 20% chance to take no damage from basics doesn't even come into play because 50 plus 30 plus 20 already reduces it to 0, even if it hits. So the funny thing, I was thinking that, extreme couponing, that you can actually come home with money if you have enough coupons. You get nothing for that 20% extra where the opponent just completely whiffs. So that means on Regime Nightwing, you still have 1 gear slot free to use however you want. And in that case, Ra's al Ghul's Scimitar is good because it keeps draining power, and so does his special 1, so teammates can stay safe building up power while Nightwing tanks it. Or you could use damage over time gears, which take a percentage of the opponent's health, no matter how high their health is. So what you're doing is you can hit way above your weight class with Regime Nightwing doing that. We've also used it on Arkham Knight Batman to make him invulnerable. It required using new 52 Shazam as a teammate to give the extra 25% damage reduction. And the other sort of classic way we used it was on our original Justice League team on New 52 Superman. And I'll link that in the description. But like Arkham Knight Batman, it takes a third gear slot to reduce him to 0 basic damage. So we would use 20% from Gingold Soda, 30% from Killer Croc Companion Gear, 30% from his passive. So you need another 20%, which you can get if you're holding on to 1.5 bars of power with Batman Ninja Helmet. And we normally don't like to go full on tank, but in the case of New 52 Superman, his passive can do enough to boost his damage without any gears, which is why he works so well on that Justice League team with New 52 Wonder Woman, giving him power over and over and getting him to the level where he just won't take any damage at all. Okay, in the store, we have Arkham Asylum Pack 1, and it used to be called Arkham Asylum Pack 2 when it was way more expensive, and it was actually twice the price. So right now it's $24.99 Canadian, because that's the only currency that matters. And it's been mostly that price. Back in February 2020, it was $53. And it's been hovering around $25, $27 since then. But yeah, Arkham Knight Batman is on the outside of the pack, but you only get Arkham Origins Batman, Arkham Origins Deathstroke, and Arkham Harley Quinn. That, new, more powerful. It is a reference to change that happened years ago, so it's not that new. It is a little bit more powerful because her stats were buffed, and she got the extra part of her passive for Unblockable Special 2 for her teammates. The better pack is the other Arkham pack for $25 that gives you a chance at a bunch of different Arkham characters, including Arkham Knight Batman. So this is not the good one, even though these characters are really good. The other new pack this week is Blackest Night Martian Manhunter Challenge Pack for 200,000 power credits. It's a 6.16% chance instead of 2.86% chance in the regular challenge pack. He is literally listed in the regular challenge pack. So most of the time we're making a guess that most of the challenge pack characters are 2.86%. But in this case, it explicitly tells us that you're really just doubling the chance. It's even not that high. It's not worth it. We've done the math on this. It's not worth it unless you sell back every other character that you're going to get. There's nothing else that you want. If you want one or two other characters, then it becomes a better value proposition to get the regular challenge pack than to spend the extra 50,000 credits. Did I say? It's also a corroborating clue to next week's challenge, which we had thought so from the pattern that we have been following for the last almost 3 years. Okay. And what else? Phantom Zone is finished. Fight 62 is still broken. And there has still been no bug fix for the Google Play incompatibility. Last weekend's breakthrough for golds was Harley Quinn, Killer Croc, and Martian Manhunter. This coming weekend is probably going to be Hawkgirl, Green Lantern, and Lobo based on the cycle that's been established. Link in the description to a subreddit thread from the Injustice Mobile subreddit started by Devlin16, one of the mods there, that goes over the complete breakthrough cycle. And so this is the beginning of each month. As far as current glitches go, we only go into more detail every time something significant changes, which did not happen this week. Or, if it's been long enough, we do a more detailed review once a month, the first week of every month, and that is today. So, you can see a video tutorial for every working glitch in our playlist, Current Glitches, linked in the description of this video. If we talk about current glitches, we start usually talking about things that people want that aren't working. And if you want to just skip ahead, I mean, you can go to the playlist that we've got. But the not working glitches that are significant, probably the biggest one is that the challenge reset glitch is not working because of the Google Play incompatibility. Until there's a bug fix update, it will not work, and neither will the Phantom Zone glitch work when the Phantom Zone is around. The glitch for getting repeated past multiplayer season rewards is not working. The glitch for early multiplayer season rewards is not working in a way that you can exploit that's helpful. I think people are still triggering it every once in a while early, and then at the end of the season they're not getting a reward. But that's not actually something good. And there's no glitch to get through Phantom Zone quickly when it's there, but we've been able to do it really quick. If you want to see, we've got a playlist of some of our speed runs through Phantom Zone. And so, working glitches. The list is pretty sparse, actually, since the challenge reset glitch was sort of corrupted by the Google Play incompatibility. But the breakthrough glitch to let you play breakthrough repeatedly is still working. The airplane mode / refund glitch is still working. It's good for both packs with random drops and last laugh tickets. It does not work for us when the Phantom Zone is around because Phantom Zone requires an online connection. We strongly recommend against doing a variation of this where you switch between accounts instead of just clearing app data, because when you switch between accounts like that, there's a big risk of account bleeding, which is something from one account overwriting something in the other account, but not in its entirety, and then you get something a little bit messed up. And time shifting still works in Android for unlimited survivor play and energy recharges. Big reminder, you gotta return your cooldown clock back to normal before you finish, before you reconnect to the internet, because if you don't, what we're seeing is people having trouble where events don't show up when they're supposed to. So Phantom Zone might not show up, you might not get the challenges coming, so make sure you fix your calendar and your clock. And in the one glitch that's neither a working glitch or a not working glitch is the promotion glitch, the one that let you promote characters that were still locked in your store because the conditions haven't been right for it since 2.14. So it has been, when the conditions aren't right, glitch doesn't exist. So it's never actually failed us once when the conditions are right, but I think clearly the developers have changed things so that the conditions never show up again. But we're pedantic, if nothing else. So we've just kept it on list until, and we will remove it when it fails us for the first time. And that's it. So this is where we like to give a big shout out to our patrons on Patreon. And that would be Korey Ashcraft supporting us on the top tier Last Word. Alexis M supporting us on the Your Message Here tier. Michael Devries, Irvin Ruiz, Hoshi 127, and Drew Chapman, who are supporting us on the credited level. And thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. Komoda.